Community banking is sort of where it's at. It's played an integral role in developing Georgia, developing jobs in Georgia. It's a special industry.
We're a reflection of the communities that we serve. So the better we do in our job, the better the community looks, and it's a circle that just continues.
Community bank is typically owned and operated within a small geographical location. These institutions are operated by people that live in that community. They worship in that community. They buy groceries with their customers.
Our deposits are staying in our community, supporting the growth of our community.
Well, the main thing is to provide capital to the businesses that operate in our community.
Economic development at the community bank level is very important for all of us. It's where small businesses thrive, and that's the lifeblood of most community banks.
Community bankers in particular serve a core need in rural Georgia and outside the metro area. I grew up in a very small town, and I know what community bankers do and what they mean for the local economy and for the ability of a small business person to take something like an idea of the way that they want to serve their community and keep things local and allow it to not only be enabled to start, but to grow and thrive.
Community banks make almost 50% of all the small business loans in the country. Nationally, they do almost 80% of all the agricultural loans in the country as well.
About 8 of every 10 loans made to small business and agribusiness loans are made by community banks in Georgia to those businesses. So we think the role of community banks will continue to increase and the service level will continue to increase, more so than some of the regional or national banks.
Welcome to CBA's 51st annual convention in Muni Trade Show. We are thrilled that you are here.
CBA exclusively represents the community banking industry. Educational programming and advocacy are the cornerstones of the association.
The CBA is composed of banks that own the organization and control the organization. We do this for the benefit of the banks so they can benefit their communities that they work within.
And so for us, that relationship is knowing that there's somebody behind the scenes that's always looking out for our best interest.
We're in a lot of rural locations, and it helps us keep up with what's going on. It helps us with training and just the contacts that you get.
And so the value of membership in the association from a banker standpoint, I think, really is hard to measure because there is so much you can learn if you engage.
CBA is such a great organization because it represents the community bankers, which are really the lifeline to so many communities across Georgia.
To be a community banker means something, I think, in the state of Georgia. And so what I like about the Community Bankers Association is our association is to make community banking meaningful.
Thank you for having me here today. What an honor it is to be in front of a great group of folks that support so many communities across the state.
Our number one mission is to be their industry advocate. Most of our institutions are state chartered, so the bulk of our advocacy work takes place in the State House.
It's important that we hear from the stakeholders in the areas where proposed legislation might have an effect. And so if there's legislation that's being talked about or it's been dropped and it's making its way through the Capitol and it affects Georgia banks, Georgia bankers need to be engaged. Of course, CBA is a great way to do that.
Where CBA distinguishes itself is that we pool those resources together. We have relationships with every legislator across the state.
And that's one of the things that we need to be doing at the state level, is doing everything we can to remove impediments for good folks like bankers who do things to enable people to pursue their economic dreams and their business desires. SB 157 was a bill that we worked on and got passed this year. Lori and John both did a great job helping put that together and then helping me to get it shepherded through the Senate and then on through the House. It's a bill that allows for banks to accept municipal deposits in an easier and better way that's more economically viable for the banks.
So Senate Bill 157 gives banks another option. It's another tool in the tool belt that they can use for their model. And every bank has business decisions to make, but this bill is so important because it allows banks to take in public deposits without having to pledge securities against it. Those funds are fully insured. They actually get to use them in the community, and that's a game changer for us. Our banks, if rough estimates, can be between $2 and $6 billion worth of impact in the state of Georgia.
CBA was really the primary driver behind this legislation. So it's very significant for our banks. I was very passionate about getting that bill through, and we did so in short order. And so our banks will be able to take advantage of programs to work with their local municipalities, keep their deposits local, and continue to fuel loan growth.
Community bankers are such a vital part of our success here in Georgia, a vital part of our future. And we continue to want to have an environment that is friendly for businesses, and I think we're headed in the right direction.
If you're not taking opportunities to train and develop yourself and your teammates, you're going to fall behind.
We're constantly engaging with our bankers in terms of what type of educational program they want today and moving forward. The industry is changing so rapidly. What bankers were focused on a couple years ago, they're not focused on that today. They're focused on today and what's happening 3 years from now.
Right now, we are doing 2 conventions a year. We have spring meetings, but then we have ongoing programs. We have compliance programs. We have programs that deal with any kind of topic that a bank may need training on.
CBA should be viewed, I think, by most of its member institutions as a huge resource. They will frequently ask for the needs of the banks, and they're able to put people together in groups, develop training classes specifically for the needs of their membership.
What are other bankers doing? What are the software solutions that are out there? What are the things that your employees are doing? How are you doing your internal training? How are you training your community?
They bring the continuing education programs to us in our areas, and it's really good.
Bankers need to be bankers. Bankers need to focus on what their core competencies are, what their market needs are, what their community needs are, and be really good bankers. That being said, they also need to have the advantages of technology and innovation, and all of the bells and whistles that other large organizations have, without having to invest in it themselves.
We're trying to make this organization provide professional development opportunities for what the banks want, not what we think the banks need.
You know, there's a challenge every day, whether it's interest rates or whether it's hiring and retaining good talent. And I hope the CBA will continue to play a big role in educating those employees and those banks. It's a great group of folks, Community Bankers Association. Those folks give of their time and talents. We've been very fortunate to have some great leaders in the past. We've got a great board at this time, and we're going to do some great things, so we're looking forward to it.